Hello everybody, it's Merlin here. Thought I'd do something a bit different. I'm outside, as you can see. I've been inside most of the day for one reason or another, trying to catch up with some things, and it's funny, Pennsylvania has had a very, very hot summer. I mean, one of the hottest that I can recall, and so recently the weather's been bearable. It's actually nice outside. I'm like, I have to enjoy being outside on my day off a little bit, so we're going to record this out here, and hope the insects aren't too much of a problem, but we'll see, I guess. Worst comes to worst, I can always re-record it, but the summer movies have been essentially done. Sometimes I get together with my friends, and we get together and review various movies that interest us as a group, usually big franchise stuff or geek stuff, kind of in the car, Brad Jones style. But I'm doing this for myself, as I sometimes do. Because I planned it. It's funny because I decided I'm just going to do it anyway to get a video up. I haven't done one of these in a while, these singular movie reviews, but I felt even more compelled to really talk about this afterwards because I just saw Kubo and the Two Strings, and wow, I mean the movie is produced by Leica, which, if you guys are familiar with, they produced films such as Coraline and Paranorman, and most recently Box Trolls. And their claim to fame is they do these really detailed stop motion animation films, family films, kids films, and they're elite. Like in terms of stop motion, they're the best. And I don't know if anybody would agree or disagree with that, but as far as I know, I mean, as far as I've ever seen, they're probably the best for at least producing those movies. And I like stop-motion animation, but no one's really been able to touch these guys in terms of their style and in terms of the quality of their work. And they produce some good movies in general. Like Coraline was very good, Paranorman was good, Box Trolls not quite as good, but still at least visually pretty appealing. And I had heard about this when I said, it's Leica, it's touching on a kind of an adventure, fantasy, samurai sort of thing, feudal Japan. I'm like, okay, this looks pretty cool. Like the trailers had me intrigued, but it didn't show you too much. And then it came out, and I don't think it's doing very well commercially. And I think that's end of the summer or whatever. Maybe not enough marketing, but the ratings though, the critics love it. And I'm like, whenever I go into a movie with any kind of rating, no matter how good or bad, I always try to kind of keep a fresh opinion about things, because that's the thing about movies, is we all bring our own individual experiences based on the type of people we are anyway. So I try to keep my opinion my own and not let other perspectives interfere with it too much. I mean, sometimes, obviously, I think, well, if more people like it versus not, there's a chance I might like it or not like it, but it doesn't necessarily guarantee anything. But anyway, I had fairly high expectations, but okay. For those of you that may have not seen it, basically it takes place in feudal Japan, and it starts off with this attack. There's this woman, she's out at sea, she escapes, and she has her child with her. And then it cuts forward in time, and it seems that this woman has been cursed. She can only she can only awake at night. The rest of the time she's almost comatose, and her child, her son Kubo, takes care of her. And Kubo makes a living with the family, for the family rather, by going into the village and performing stories. He's a performer, but not only is he good at telling stories, his method of doing it is, apparently he has some kind of magical ability where he has, I forget the instrument, I should look it up, but that 3-stringed instrument that's common in Japan, we'll just say it's like the banjo, guitar sort of thing. I forget the actual name, but whatever that is, ukulele thing, the Japanese version of it, I don't know, I should know, but I don't. And but it's infused with magical abilities, and so it allows him to bring these papier-mâché characters to life as he's telling the story of this ancient samurai warrior who fought against this god and fled and tried to get vengeance against the monsters. Just telling these great tales, but never finishing the story. And never seems to be able to quite finish the story, because at night his mother recounts the stories to him, which are actually of his father, because his father was this awesome warrior who apparently fell in love with the mother, who is essentially a spirit or a goddess, and this didn't bode well with her family. The grandfather, her father, and her sisters, who killed the father and are pursuing them, and she's using her magic to keep Kubo out of sight, which is why he never goes out past the nighttime. He only goes out during the day, and the rest of the time he hides. Because apparently they only come out at night because it's the Moon King. And, things are going pretty much standardly as well, but eventually he hears from this one old lady that there's a way to communicate with the dead in this one ceremony. And of course he's missing his father, and he wants to know more because his mother's memories are very limited. And he decides to try and communicate and stays a little too late, and the sisters are able to find him and go after him, and this results in his mother apparently being killed. But he goes on an adventure to find these 3 artifacts, this shield, no, not a shield, the sword, breastplate, which is armor basically, and a helmet, which are infused with magical powers, which would be the abilities needed for him to defeat the bad guys. And his mother used a little bit of her magic to install with him some spirit guides, particularly a monkey, a little paper mache man who guides him to where he needs to go, and also this guy they meet along their way who's a cursed samurai who has taken the form of a half-beetle man, who's awesome as well. And so they go off on an adventure to find out what's going on. So they go off on an adventure to find the artifacts and try to save the day and figure out what's going on. And there's some plot twists and some things are revealed which may or may not be obvious, but I won't give away the ending. There might be more spoilers as it goes along. I don't know. I feel like talking about this movie at great length, so we'll see how it goes. But, alright. First of all, in terms of just the visual presentation, I mean, I'll be honest, in general, I don't feel like the words could just describe how good this movie was for me. I'll say that right now. It was good. I really liked it. But the animation, like I said, Leica are like the experts of stop motion animation, but like the ability of these people to just create such fluid movement and mimicking human motion so well, and also being so detailed, just the level of detail to all the sets and the backgrounds and the characters, and like the time and the motion and how many people moving things around and the color scheme. Like the movie is gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's really, really beautiful. It's difficult to describe without seeing it, but it's very, very good. I mean, the visual component alone, the music was excellent as well, perfect for the atmosphere, and everything, both visually and sound design, really helped create that sense of feudal Japan, which I've always liked. Very few series or films have been able to really get you to that mythical feudal Japan quite as well, and this is definitely one of the best in that particular area. And one thing I also liked about it too is that the story itself is very, very simple on the surface, and that's one of the reasons why I think it has such a great appeal and it works so well. It's a very basic tale of young hero, kind of like he talks about in his own stories, has to avenge some wrong and fight some evil monsters and work together with some friends to go on this adventure and find these mythical objects. It's, a very standard fantasy, very much akin to pretty much any tale. I mean, predating Tolkien and Dungeons and Dragons, this is, some basic stuff. From any culture, any background, people are familiar with these stories to some extent. There's no denying that, and that's one reason why it works so well. But the way it's done is just so masterful, and there's so much intelligence behind it, and a self-awareness to what it's doing. It's one of those films that is also, in addition to being its own story, is about the importance of storytelling, among other things. But there's like the beats for it in terms of the plot points, the way the characters interact. It's simple, but it's so elegant and intricate, and everything works. Everything works, and it makes sense. And if there are any minor issues, you don't care because the presentation's just so gorgeous. But on top of that, on top of this good, solid story with great animation and music, there are these great characters. There are these great characters. Kubo is a character that I think any kid can relate to. And I'll be honest, the first 15 minutes of the movie, I thought Kubo was a girl. Honestly, I did, and I would have been fine with that. And you know what? Even though it is a boy, it doesn't matter because he's 11. So it doesn't really matter for the context of the story. Any kid, any person who's been a child in their life can relate to it because they can relate to this kid who acts like a kid. And I even made a couple little jokes, like I was thinking, Kubo is a dick to birds because of one thing that happens. But I'm like, or he toys with the monkey, or he makes some snide remarks. But the way he's written, it's like, yeah, he does some little jerky things, but it's something a kid would do in this situation, and you never get the sense he's a bad kid or a spoiled kid. We're introduced to this kid having to take care of essentially his disabled mother, and he's a great person. He's just had a hard life, and he's got a lot of questions, but he's a great kid. He's a really great kid, and he's creative, and the side characters are great as well. The monkey is great as a parental figure. The Beetle Samurai is really awesome as well for some comic relief, but kind of the stalwart, the typical hero guy, knight guy, but he's awesome. The little paper guy even has some personality to him as well. Like, he has some really great little moments. Great cast of characters for your quest as far as parties go. Really awesome, and the power set too, with just being deeply etched, I think, in Japanese mythology, the type of spirits and the type of magic they use. It's basically, it's magical sword, magical armor, magical helmet, but that's not the main weapon. Kubo's main weapon is the power of the music. Like, he's the most epic bard ever, where he can make all those things come to life. He can make things. He makes a boat. He makes birds, and he can create force fields and use anti-demon magic and to dispel spirits, and creating force fields and stuff as he gets more powerful, and he has to learn it because he's essentially half god. He's magical, powers of a sorcerer, but he's young and he's uncertain. And we kind of learn that he has one eye, and because the the grandfather of him, the king of the Moon King, wants to steal his other eye, and we're not entirely sure why, but it's because of some magical ability, obviously, in addition to getting with him. And it's very compelling, because they keep much of that a mystery in terms of what the villain's true motivations are all the way up till about the end. And the reveals about certain things, I think, will be pretty easy to figure out, but I still think it was handled well. Like, it's not completely obvious. Like, you could see certain things standing in, but I won't reveal that too much. But, oh, man. Oh, man. And the thing is, too, as well as having a very simple story, it was obviously made with so much love. Not just in terms of just the painful detail that all these people put into it, but the story is smart, and it's universal, and it goes to the very foundation of some pretty heavy things. I mean, I think that this movie is Toy Story level. I mean, I know, and that implies what I think about it, but this movie is just amazing. It's a fantastic piece of art. It's beyond that. Every word I'm saying now will not do this movie justice as an experience for me watching it. Like, it's one of those experiences where you're in theater and you're connecting in that moment, and it's just you and the film immersed in the world and how it relates to you through the characters. Pretty much the whole reason we go see movies in the first place, but the best possible experience for that. And the movie, as I said, makes comments about the importance of stories and relates that to the nature of being human, because these villains, in a kind of a standard sort of idea, these humans don't really see, or not the villains being these beings on a higher plane, have kind of lost sight of why humans are important and what the importance of being human is, and they'll be like, what's the point of this dirty place where there's all this pain, all this misery, people just get old and sick and suffer, and they're sad and depressed, and they eventually die, and they have such limited time, whereas we're just powerful, immortal beings, but there's a disadvantage to that concept, and kind of really some challenging ideas about the hardship of life and about the futility of it and the briefness of it, but how there's so much beauty despite that. Kind of really gives like I said, this universal concept about why stories are important, why family's important, why life itself, no matter how you look at it, can be perceived as a great gift despite all the strange questions, and the uncertainties and the bad things. And that goes at the core aspect of it, and just and I don't want to give away like the whole monologue. I mean, I will probably, I could see myself doing an in-depth review of this at some point, because it's just really fantastic. And I'll tell you guys, like, I mean, I shed tears sometimes if things hit me emotionally. I'm a passionate person. I'm not ashamed to admit that, but I cried a couple times this movie, and when the movie ended, I was just sitting there for a while, like, just basically bawling. I mean, I'm almost in tears now. Like, it was just it's so sad, but so charming and beautiful all at once. It's a truly fantastic story. It's one of those stories that, once again is rooted in those tales, really since ancient times. That it's one of the, just a universal concept, once again, but just told in a very different way, and beautifully, amazingly. Like, this movie probably isn't getting the the attention it deserves now, box office wise, but the critics like it. I'm sure word of mouth will help this one. I mean, I don't really care about the Oscars one way or another. You guys know that. But if this movie doesn't at least get a nomination, once again, insanity. It probably will. It probably will. It should probably, if this movie got Best Animated Feature, and I know it's a little early in the year, but hasn't been a very good year for movies. If this got Best Picture, like, I'm just going to get into this now, guys. Like, admittedly, I just saw it recently, but I came out of the film thinking this might be one of my favorite movies. Obviously time will tell in terms of my experiences and my life, how it'll impact me. But I can tell you that as I was watching it, I was thinking about how, this is such an excellent movie because it's told in such a basic way, but such an all-inclusive way, in addition to being masterfully done, that any person that likes movies, even remotely, can watch this and will connect with it in their own unique way, and they will have their own unique experience. They might not see Kubo and the Two Strings like I do, or like anybody else does, like anybody sees anything. Have this unique perspective, but I'm very confident they'd still have an amazing, transcendent experience. Like, I mean, I'm talking like it's almost spiritual. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. It was an amazing emotional moment. The whole experience. It was really good, and maybe it helped that I also had the theater basically to myself. But it was great. It was really, really great. And like I said, this, in terms of just animation and family entertainment, kids movies, just movies in general, this is really, really good. I think it's great. It's probably the best movie I've seen all year. Definitely the best movie I've seen all summer. And honestly, like I said, this is a potential for one of my favorite movies. It is one of my favorite movies. Like, I can tell you that right now. The motorcycle can attest to that in the background. Oh, man, but I don't know if I can beat this to death. I don't know how repetitive this was, but like, I'm just singing the praises of Kubo and the Two Strings. But yeah, oh man, I guess I'll wrap that up. Just great film. Oh, yes, the voice acting was top notch. Can't forget that. The writing, directing obviously was fantastic. But yeah, I think I looked this up before going in. I think this is the director's first movie too. I'm just thinking, oh, like, you know what, man? Even if you never do another movie or all your other movies are shit, you hit the fucking mother load. Pardon me. Like, I'm just like, you guys did it. Like you made a fantastic piece of work that just beautifully done, made with love, and you can feel it. You can feel the love, and I know it sounds corny, and they kind of beat the villain with love, but they do it in a way that works, surprisingly. Aha! Anyway, I know, and I still really like it, so I must say they must have handled that pretty well, somehow. But yeah, I just want to note, I almost forgot about it. The voice acting was great. The voice acting was really good. You had Rooney Mara was the twin sisters, the bad guy. You had Charlize Theron was the monkey. She was great. She was really great. You had I don't know the young boy. I believe that the young actor or actors. I'm not sure that voiced Kubo, but fantastic job. A fantastic job. I'm sure limited experience, fantastic. Matthew McConaughey was the Beetle samurai. George Takei did some backup work, which additional voices, which of course was good. So there was some. They did some great top-notch voice cast as well. But yeah, guys, I mean, I think this movie is fantastic. I would leave it with an A+, but I don't think A+ is like even a fitting, this goes beyond grades for me. This is just a great story, and you know what? I honestly think that if you don't like this movie at all, I mean, it's got, come on, I think there's something here for everybody, and it's just, I think it's truly one of those great movies. I mean, I in my gut feel like this could last a long time in terms of memories, and even if it didn't, for me, this experience right now with it was just one of those ones. Alright, I guess I've talked about Kubo and the Two Strings to death. I'll end my review now, and let me know if you guys like me doing it outside, because I might do that now that the weather's a little nicer. That way I'm not cooped inside the house all the time. Yeah, but more videos will be coming to you guys. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys later. Merlin out. Stay magical.